Hi, my name is Jonathan, and today we're going through the Anthon transcript, the characters. So many of you may be familiar with that. This is what it looks like. The Charles Anthon story is traditionally that a transcript of characters of Reformed Egyptian was brought to Dr. Charles Anthon, and he affirmed that it was different. It was authentic ancient writings, and upon leaving with a certificate of authenticity, he asked, "Where did you get this?" And ended up saying a prophet of God had written it. And he said, "Well, bring it to me. I'll I'll translate it for you." And he took the certificate and ripped it up. And this is where they say it was. We can't. It's in a sealed book. The order there is a little bit off, but this is what it looks like. This is actually not what was described by Charles Anthon as what he had received. What he had actually received looked probably, he said it was more of a circular with columns of writing. This one is an Akkadian one from Mesopotamia, right? And what's funny about this is that there was a Native American chief, I can't remember which one, who actually had something similar to this with cuneiform writing, just like this, that was he kept in a medicine pouch around his neck. So we know that there was this form of writing that had made it to North America. However, the people in North America say that they are the first people. And so it's there's so much there. It's amazing. Anyways, there is a man, what is it, Jerry Grover, who believes that he may have translated the Anthon script. And here, I'm going to read you what the translation that he provided actually says. Now, again, I think what is he, a geologist? He's a geologist, but he did this as a hobby. He went through and noted how there was attributes of Hebrew, ancient Egyptian, and even Mayan. And so he applies these writing rules and everything, and he's actually published a whole paper on it and everything. I've put it out in some of my former videos in the description. I'll put it in the description of this as well. But today I wanted to actually go through the translation that he provided. Now the thing is that other people believe that they have the translation as well. Like this is from January 1942, the Improvement Era, and this they give attributes to and meaning to all these things. And so you might think like, well, how can they translate this? And it looks like a lot of people have attempted to translate the Anthon script. This one talks a lot about vessels, great waves, encompassing and emerging and surfacing, it and crossing the sea. It sounds a lot like the story of the brother of Jared. However, you'll notice this writing, which most critics will say, oh, it looked like backwards written numbers and letters and things like that. It was all just made up. Well, I mean, it's very similar to what we see from the Micmac and from the Ojibwe and even the Mayan use of numbers is included. And so what you see is what the Book of Mormon authors said over and over again, how it was hard to write. Their writing wasn't, the weakness of their hands, and there was lots of difficulty associated with it. And I think it's because there's likely a combination of different writings and styles. In fact, even these guys, they have an alphabet, but then there's also pictographs. Like the Ojibwe have pictographs that resemble a lot of what we see in other areas, in other cultures back in the Middle East. Then they also have phonetics, but traditionally they read theirs left to right. the Anthon script is read right to left. But again, this is a combination of various different writing styles in the language of the Hebrews. So with that, we're just going to go straight to what the translation says. So this is the translation of the first 4 lines of the Characters document. Now, again, the Characters document that we have right now, this is traditionally what it is. This is not likely what Charles Anthon was given. However, traditionally, that's kind of where we put it, and it may not be, but what they describe is this more of a circular tablet. And if you remember, the facsimile too is a hypocephalus, which is like a clay tablet with writings in a circular thing. Even your Aztec writing calendar system is like this, and the way it works is it rotates, and so it's like one wheel within another wheel. It's kind of like gears, and so it's a very efficient calendar system for the time, very unique. What's unique about this translation from Jerry Grover, I hope I'm getting that name right, is that he says it nearly all has to do with numbers and dates and everything. And a lot of these numbers and dates are encrypted into language. So we're just going to go ahead and read it. Translation of the first 4 lines of the Characters document. In the 19th regnal year of Mosiah I, the Nephites traveled over the mountains. So this was covered up where I highlighted. So that's my guess of what Jerry put in. Nephites traveled over the mountains of foreign-speaking people of Mulek. These 20,000 children of Mosiah traveled downriver on the east side of the River Sidon. And he gives a name for the River Sidon. He calls it the Grijalva River. So I pulled that up because he has a Mesoamerican view of it. And so this is where he places it. It's right down here. For us, or not us, what am I saying? For the Heartland model, we would say that Mississippi River right here would be what leads into this sea west or south. Because back in the day, all this whole area just was huge, wide gaping, open. In fact, it wasn't until a lot of our irrigation and dams and everything that we changed the face of the land. And this area, the face of the land, this stuff be flooded often anyways. So you see that this comes all through here, through Illinois, down to that center point location where the sea opens up. So that's the Heartland model. I'm not sure how many Heartland models there are, but this is one of them. For the Mesoamerican, this is the location. So as you can see, there is a sea south and west. There is also a sea north and all the way east. And so you have all this area, Yucatan Peninsula. All right. Moving along. So I'll read that last sentence one more time. These 20,000 children of Mosiah traveled downriver on the east side of the River Sidon for 80 days, and reached Zarahemla. That would mean that they would place Zarahemla probably down by Guatemala City. For Heartland, Zarahemla would be right up here. Right across the river from Nauvoo, which is in Doctrine and Covenants. Okay. After the space of, let's see, and reached Zarahemla. And then it came to pass that after 10 years, thus began the period of the 7 tribes. Okay, so this is important to understand, is what is the 7 tribes? The 7 tribes are the Nephites, Jacobites, Josephites, Lamanites, Lemuelites, Zoramites, and Ishmaelites. So, well, what about Sam? Sam was connected with the Nephites. Laman and Lemuel did break up. The Ishmaelites, all the brothers ended up becoming the Ishmaelites. Zoramites had their own thing. But Sam and Nephi were combined together. Big purpose of that is because this makes up seven tribes. Just like how there's actually 13 tribes of Israel, but we use 12 because it's to depict a greater meaning than what it really is. So this is just how it works in scriptures. They round a number or take a number in place of something, but they give an explanation. I mean, in the Book of Mormon, it explains that Samuel was combined with Nephi as part of the Nephites. But this is the Bible has 12 tribes. Here, this remnant is 7 tribes, and that communicates something greater for the Book of Mormon. Just like how 12 represents something great for the Bible. This all actually comes in together. Anyways, I'll stop there and I'll keep going. After the space of 21 more years had passed, Zeniff, with 60 of his people, departed. 53 more years then passed. Then the Limhites traveled west, bringing the pure gold Jaredite plates to Mosiah, which he translated. Mosiah II, which he translated. Previous to the arrival of the Limhites, Benjamin was made king in the 2nd month on the 436th year after Lehi left Jerusalem. At the age of 83, King Benjamin ascended to eternity, which was 479 years after Lehi left Jerusalem. King Benjamin's death occurred 1 1/3 years before the arrival of the Limhites. 4 years before the arrival of the Limhites, the period of the 7 tribes ended in conjunction with the Jubilee year. So, Jubilee year is every 50 years or 49 years, and then 1 year of rest, and then it's 49, 1 year of rest, as I understand it. This conversation about Jubilees actually came up before. Jared with Christian Homestead does a wonderful job going over Jubilees, so please look to his video. I'll put it in the description here as well. So here we're getting a lot more detail, and so we might wonder where's this writing coming from. So Jerry had mentioned that it is part of the original book of Lehi, which Lehi and Nephi's books kind of overlap, but Lehi's information gave a lot more detail with numbers and dates. And so this would be like a forward to what's going to be talked about in the preceding chapters and books. So here, the second one is translation of the second 3 lines of the Characters document. So I'm trying to speak a little bit slower just in case we can... I don't mumble or speak too fast and you get a chance to hear it if you're not watching the screen. All right, so this is 60 1/2 months prior to the coming of Christ, Samuel the Lamanite. Here it broke off again and I couldn't see. So what it looked like to me was so Samuel the Lamanite comes among the Nephites and Lamanites. The Nephite primary count calendar was shifted from the 1,000-year calendar to the coming of Christ calendar, effective retroactively 9 years after the coming of Christ calendar started. I do want to note that this is, being written by Brother Jerry Grover. It's not written by the same scribes, who would have... The scribes who wrote down the Anthon transcript likely would have used different terminology, but still trying to convey the same point. This is basically what we understand, or through Jerry's understanding. He gave the best understanding he can about this. So if there's things that seem inconsistent, just understand he's doing the best he can, and I think he did well. The 600-year Lehi departure calendar period ended in the 92nd year of the reign of the judges. The first and most high king, Christ the Son, came to the land of Jerusalem. After he was born, occurred 2 days of brightness. The Gadianton tribe arose. Nephi departed. Siege of Gadianton robbers. Praise voiced to God. A jubilee year takes place, which completes the 12th jubilee period of the 1,000-year calendar. So that's very interesting. But I'll go on. On the first month of the 125th year of the reign of the judges calendar, Christ came to the people. After remaining 50 weeks in the 12th month of the 34th year of the coming of Christ's calendar, Christ ascends upwards to heaven. The reign of the judges calendar period ends. Thus commences a period of truth and prosperity. Nephites seek after riches. The rise of the fourth generation is complete. Nephites retreated downriver on the River Bountiful. Kotzakos. I'll show you where Brother Grover puts that. He puts it right up here. So right up here. So downriver, Bountiful. So he's considering this the River Bountiful, it looks like. Whereas in the heartland, the River Bountiful, what was that? It actually runs northward, actually, doesn't it? So to the north countries. Nephites retreated downriver on the River Bountiful to the north countries. So this would be going downriver. The river is flowing north. Because down is in reference to the flow of water. And they end up in the north countries. So he puts it here that these, I suppose, would be the north countries. And this is the river that they came up from. So for some perspective, it's going this direction. Whereas for the heartland, we have the Mississippi River, which goes all the way through here. I actually looked for rivers that run north, and what I found is the Fox River in Wisconsin to Illinois, or to Illinois and Wisconsin. It's about 202 miles, and it flows north. There's some other ones that flow north, but this one puts it right in the heartland area. So this is where Fox River is. And this would be considered the north, I suppose, because it flows all the way down here into Illinois. Which is funny because Rockford, I think that's where my family's from. I went and visited there recently. It was just gorgeous. I never knew it was subtropics all the way through here. I've never seen trees so large. It looked like a jungle. It was amazing. Humid, though. All right, moving on. The 3 disciples departed. Innumerable multitudes of Lamanites came. The Nephites and the Lamanites are without Christ and God the Father, now choosing to be led by Satan. Moroni and Mormon are in the hands of Christ. 384 years. All right. So again, this is, the best, and according to Jerry's understanding, and he does have a paper which he's written and has asked people. He's paid for it himself for people to, hey, can you review this? Can I get a scholarly, rebuttal or somebody to go through this. The thing is it's hard to do because it's taking into account various written languages and writing tools and rules for this writing and applying them together in a way to basically encrypt a large amount of information into a small amount of writing. And that would make sense because the plates, if they were word for word, as long as we would expect, it would be ginormous. So let's think. Lehi and his family came from right here, and it sounds like they went back and forth, and then came right down here. There's a group that says they departed out of Yemen, so either from over here or over here. Stick of Joseph is talking about Salalah. I actually looked it up. Salalah is also an incense trade port, shipbuilding. This is a little oasis. This place is really perfect, has metal, all this stuff. Lehi, he seemed to be a wealthy man, and if he traveled, to go and be a trader of incense, this is likely the path he would have gone. But they also had to stay out in the wilderness for a while, to not be on the main roads. And so they didn't suffer from dysentery and all that stuff. They ate some raw meat. Stick of Joseph does a great job going over that. So either they came around here and shot up, or they came across and just continued hitting islands. I think the Mesoamerican theory is that they come in down here, and for the Heartland theory, it's they come around here and take this water pathway that flows and land out here. So just some fun facts. Let me see how much time I have on here. So just some fun facts. The city of Enoch is folklore. Mormon folklore says it was here. That Noah would have departed out of here. And so I shouldn't say Mormon folklore because some of this is part of our beliefs. And that Adamondiaman we have, in this general region. So look at this, all this water. This is all just systems of streams and rivers. Something that Isaiah talks about, a land that's just speckled with rivers. And these all sought huge salt deposits. This is all runoff. But can you imagine if the face of the land changed? And we know that there were earthquakes and everything and volcanoes. This is actually a center point for the largest earthquakes in North America. But it happens it happens rarely, like every couple hundred years. And this is the center point. This is also the gathering point. This is also where the X marks the spot on the solar eclipse going on. So it seems, and then you have the Appalachians over here, but it's believed that this was a large water causeway all through here, so wide that it would have made up, like a small sea that would have opened up out here. Now, the problem I have with the Mesoamerican theory is I know that there's influence that happened down here. I think the Lamanites were primarily all through here. I think the Nephites were primarily all through here. We know that trade existed back then, all back and forth, east to west, all the way down, even into Mexico, all the way down to here too. So we know that existed. Was any of this connected? I don't know. But it's hard for me to believe that the Nephites and Lamanites just primarily stayed right here. We got people that live in Mexico now that can't even stay there, right? I mean, everyone's been flowing here for years. And look how far they traveled here to here in just a single lifetime. And then just to come here and stay here. It sounds more likely because there's so much spreading and going around I mean, there's other peoples that came through too. So it seems more reasonable that the record is up here and that the Lamanites, Samuel the Lamanite, probably came from down here. But there was trade existing, there was interaction. So you're going to have some collateral influence all through here. And that's what we do have. And the writing we have, people said it was all made up, but here we have Native American writing. We were told Native Americans don't have writing. So, I mean, yeah, pick and choose what the argument is against it. And I don't know, but either way, some other people, and a Ojibwe woman has also given a translation. Hers is a little bit more incoherent and talks about God and the same thing that basically spoke about in this other one here. It's very similar to that. And she read it from left to right. But this one was translated right to left, and with all these other writing tools and rules applied to them. So tell me what you think. I'll put everything in the description below. Thanks for watching.